Our Realty is now Real Living Southern Realty, serving the entire tri-state area. Find your dream home now with Real Living Southern Realty. For their complete listings and more, rlsouthernrealty.com. And I'm Swarm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Art Beat of Chattanooga, where art lives. I'm your host, Jillian Collins, local artist and lover of Chattanooga, this lovely city that is bursting with the arts in every area. Visual arts, dance, theater, everything you can think of, comedy. We've got it all here in Chattanooga. And today I'm very excited because my guest is going to be a phone call from, she's my daughter. And we're going to talk about her artwork and what has driven her to produce what she produces. And we're going to talk about a genetic condition called familial adenomatous polyposis, or FAP, as well, because it's a big part of what drives Brittany's work and the heartbeat of what she produces and why. So she's very, very talented, and I will be sharing some of those on YouTube and Facebook Live. If you're joining us that way today on radio 92.7 FM, AM 1240, and we're broadcasting live on those as well as Facebook and YouTube today. So I hope you can join us and hear about a story of an artist who, her mom lives in Chattanooga, so it's okay with me. And I taught Brittany art her whole life. She's a natural, as are some of my other girls with art. And this girl has been through some very rough times with this FAP. It's a genetic disease where you have a mutated gene that's a 50-50 chance for each child born, with one parent carrying the gene, which was not me. But it doesn't matter. This is a very serious disease. It's a lifelong disease, and we're going to talk about it some more as soon as Brittany calls in. And we're going to talk about this whole thing, and especially about what she is doing through the internet, through her connections, and the journey that Brittany's had getting to this place where her artwork speaks about her journey, her struggles, her trials. So, hey, Britt, if you're listening, go ahead and call in anytime. But meanwhile, my website's Vanguard Artistry, and my heartbeat is I'm working toward supporting breast cancer patients and survivors through my art. So if you are a survivor, if you are a breast cancer survivor or a patient, feel free to contact me, and I've got some things to share with you. So I think that's Brittany. I'm going to grab this call. Hi, Britt.
Oh, yes.
Hi, glad to have you today. Finally.
I know. I'm so excited to be on here.
Yeah, I am too. I've been wanting a long time to have this conversation on this show to share the journey that you and others go through in this whole level of things with the disease you have and other causes that end up, creating the situation that you're in. And I'm going to kind of let you, this is my daughter, Brittany Hemphill. She is an artist. And I'm going to show you one of her pieces right now, if you're watching, and then we're going to do some talking. Okay, Brett? And
okay, sounds great to me.
This is sort of I'm going to blow it up here for you. This piece is very important to you, right, Brittany? I'm showing the baby that has the ostomy bag.
Yes.
What's the title of this one?
He doesn't actually have a title at this point. I haven't really found a name for him, but this drawing came about from the fact that FAP is affecting every age there is, and so often people don't understand that it can affect even a very young child who will have to go through surgery, as an infant and has to deal with an ostomy. And I wanted the symbol on his shirt to be the fact that, with FAP, we do not have a colon once we've had surgery most of the time. So,
and that can go so many ways. Would you mind, Brittany, kind of giving our listeners and people watching on Facebook and YouTube a general overview of what FAP is?
Yes. FAP is a genetic condition in which we have a deleted gene, and it causes us to grow polyps in our colon. It can also cause polyps to grow in other parts of the intestine, such as the duodenum and small intestine as well. And FAP, with the polyps, it tends to cause colon cancer at very early ages of life. So that's why we have to have our colons removed, usually in, late teenhood, early 20s, sometimes much earlier than that, depending on how bad the case is.
Right. Some children are born with polyps already in their colon. And through this, as this disease has become more and more researched, now you can actually, as a family, identify the mutated gene, and you can find out very young if your child has this disease. It's a 50-50 gene, every child born. And out of my 4 children, 5 of 5, but 4 from your dad, 2 of you have this disease. And we didn't know this until you were about 13, 12. How old were you when we found out?
I think I was close to 15 or 16. I don't remember exactly.
Because we were able to identify the gene, and then you go through this whole process. But you, Brittany, have had and seen a lot of the 1% case scenarios that happen. Yeah. And they'll tell you, oh, it's only 1%. And we don't have to get into all of that. But, basically the disease means if you do not have your colon surgically removed, you're going to get colon cancer by your 40s. It's not an if, it's a for sure thing, because those polyps will continue to grow and they're precancerous. So this is a condition that falls under the realm of cancer as well. So, very, very unusual situations come up with this disease. And I know you've heard from people, well, what about natural methods and stuff like that? But that can't help with this. You can't change the mutated gene. Your body just simply is going to grow these polyps. And some children at the age of 4 have hundreds of these polyps already in their colon. Therefore, your picture of this little boy that's staring down at his ostomy bag, like if you're listening and you can't see it, this is like a very large-eyed child, big blue, beautiful eyes. And on the t-shirt, you've made this colon shape and then put an X over it, like no colon. And he has a little ostomy bag and he's got a diaper. So, this little baby, and you can see his little scar on his belly, because this surgery requires a general open scar, big opening of the abdomen there. And this young child appears to be less than 1 year old. And on his little ostomy bag is cute little stars and things like that. But his face seems to be like, wow, what is this? So
yeah, that was exactly the expression I kind of was portraying. A child is just becoming kind of aware of his body and discovering this appliance that is constantly on him.
Right. And this child wouldn't actually know any different. And yet, because humans are made a certain way, he's going to figure it out pretty quickly that he's different. So this is a lovely picture. Your work, Brittany, is beautiful. And I know I was your teacher, but your style is completely your own. It's completely different than mine. And can you share why and what, what you're doing with this? Why you're producing this work. And, feel free to share to the level that you're comfortable about why you do, what you're doing, and what you want to say to other people who may have FAP, and about what your art means to you concerning this part of it.
Yes. Well, a lot of my art has been driven by the fact that I want to be able to bring awareness to my medical condition, particularly also other conditions that are kind of rare and not often talked about. And my artwork is kind of, each piece is driven kind of by an emotion I'm feeling at the time, whether it's, happiness or, sadness, or even reminiscing about memories that I have going through all this medical stuff. And the funny thing about the piece that you were just showing is that I drew this piece kind of reminiscing on a moment when I woke up from surgery and didn't know that I was going to have my ostomy when I woke up. And I didn't want to necessarily portray that as an adult in the artwork, but I did want to portray kind of that feeling that I had of complete and utter shock. And, you know, my artwork is definitely an interesting style. It's a bit of a cartoon anime style. I've just found over the last few years of working on different pieces that that's really the style I enjoy doing. And I feel that it also, that particular style brings a level of concern and innocence to the different pieces of artwork that I do. Just the way that the eyes are drawn and things that often, you know, it can show the worry or it can show happiness. And it's just kind of, it just flows out of me at this point in that way. But yeah, I've definitely been through a lot, and it very much so has affected the type of pieces that I produce. And the one that I'm actually watching you on YouTube as well while I'm talking to you, and I see the one that you're holding up is a little baby crawling.
Yeah, I'm looking for a specific piece that I'm not finding, but I will find it. So go ahead and tell us about that baby. This is a baby with a pacifier or binky, which is your signature name at this point on your artwork.
Yes.
And this is a little girl with giant eyes, and she's got a pacifier in her mouth. She's crawling, and she has a teal headband with a pink flower on, and her little hair is coming down across her forehead. And so what can you tell us about what produced the artwork? Why did you do this one?
That one, interestingly enough, is kind of a portrayal of the cartoon me at that age. It was very much so geared toward that, and just showing a level of innocence and happiness that I had at that time before I really had knowledge of what the world was like. And I actually oftentimes use that one as a bit of a logo for myself because I love it. And she is actually one of my favorites. And it took a while for me to decide with her what I wanted it to look like. And so it was kind of a little more of a painstaking piece of art, even though it's not incredibly detailed in the background. I wanted it to be that image that just sticks out from the page. And I just wanted to portray that happiness and innocence in that one.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I see. So I'm still looking for a specific one that I saw that had a lot of detail in the grass and that sort of thing. And I don't know if I didn't save it properly or something, but we'll get to that later. So, you know, the innocence part, when you were a child and we knew there was a chance, a big chance that some of you were going to have FAP. And, you know, then we found out who did and who didn't. And even the sisters who didn't were so relieved. And yet there was almost a feeling of guilt, too, that you guys had it. So, you know, it's been a really hard journey for you, Brittany. And you feel free to share that part of things to the level you want. I know you've got an online thing going on. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing online and how you're reaching out to others through your work and through your communications about what you've been through?
Certainly. Through all the medical stuff I've had 11 surgeries total, and sometime between the last surgery.
From the time you were 18, right? And you're not 30 yet. Are you? Are you 30 yet?
I am 30, yes.
Okay, so from 18 to now.
So it was in about 2011 that I discovered that I was having issues with incontinence and controlling my bladder. And over the years, that's become kind of a big part of my health issues and kind of what drives me. So about 3 years ago or so, I started a YouTube channel just to basically kind of document a little bit of what's going on in my life, as well as do different reviews of products for people and just helpful tips to those who are also dealing with incontinence. And it started off, you know, I had no subscribers, and at this point, I believe I am at 2,300 subscribers. And I post videos weekly on Thursdays, and I also sometimes do them throughout the week. And sometimes it may be a video about how I'm feeling that week, and other times it may just be a video of a review of a product or something. And I've recently started doing live streams, just had first one the other night, so that I can kind of connect in real time with my followers and answer any questions and help them out in any way I can. And that has been kind of a huge part of what's also driven me to pursue this type of, I guess, work, you could say. With the YouTube channel kind of came different opportunities. I did have a business for some time, sewing incontinence supplies for adults. And even though the FAP is my biggest health issue, the incontinence is kind of one of the things that is more of a daily thing and a daily reminder that kind of drives a lot of what I do.
Right. And how can they find your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is actually Back in Diapers. I'm not sure if it has the 05 on there or not, but it is Back in Diapers. And you'll easily see I actually have one of my drawings as my logo. And it's two little girls hugging a teddy bear. But Back in Diapers, and I post videos every Thursday.
Right. And so this subject, has produced, you have turned your art into almost a therapeutic level concerning this. And
yes.
So the subject level of incontinence is very taboo and scary. No adult wants to admit they're incontinent, and you became that way through massive amounts of intrusions into your body surgically. Sometimes an effect of FAP and having the colon removed and all the reconstruction that they do, you actually end up with an internal pouch made from your small intestine. So adults who have this surgery have to develop, they're actually take out the entire colon, the rectum, all of it, so they're reconstructing you. And people who have this often have some level of incontinence, and other people who have really every 1% thing that can go wrong, like that happened with you. The 1 year you were in the hospital 123 days, Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, it can go very poorly. And I know other people who have this disease who are very close to this radio station who has it as well. And so far things have gone pretty well for her. But, so you have the YouTube channel, and how else do you have a website people can find you at? And
at the moment, I don't have a website set up with my recent loss of employment. That is one thing that I am going to hopefully be doing, is getting a website for my art set up and for just kind of the things I do in general. But you can also find my artwork. I kind of have a page on Facebook, and it is, I believe it's Binky Girl Art. And that's where you can find a lot of my work, and it also takes you to like the different sewing stuff that I've done as well over time. But I generally post a lot of works in progress and stuff on my Facebook page, Binky Girl Art.
So yeah, and the YouTube channel again is
Back in Diapers.
Back in Diapers, and that's
Yep.
That's where you share a lot of your journey, and other people share their struggles with this sort of thing. Not all FAP. There's many reasons people become incontinent. But what I find amazing, not just as your mom, but as an artist, is your work has a very strong purpose. And it's amazing that you're reaching out to the community, to the world, and saying, this is real. I've gone through this. People are going through this. And, you just mentioned the recent loss of employment. And truly, that's a side effect of all the conditions you have from the effects of this disease ravaging your body all these years. So this reaches into every part of people's lives. When you're really ill, and society does not necessarily support you much.
Yeah, it's definitely been, it's been a challenge since I started back to work last year. And up until this point, they've been really good with working with me on things. And, it's just that this particular bout of illness has lasted for several months and, really affected my ability to work. And that's, kind of why they ended up terminating me.
Yeah, I understand that. And I'll tell you, you're a trooper. I know that because I've been there through the whole thing with you. And I'm very pleased that you've turned your artwork toward a purpose. And I hope that this helps people become aware, maybe more patient and understanding with people who have incontinence issues and who suffer illnesses that they have no choice in. So I just, love your work here. I wanted to show this one here. I love the detail in this one, Brittany. I held it up a moment ago. Do you have a title for this guy?
Actually, I do. It's a pretty simple title. It's just Baby Bradley, and that piece seriously is one of the most detailed I've done as far as the background and everything. And I just happened to, I just like to portray kind of the playfulness side of things with little kids. And he is I love him to death. And I was actually experimenting with a brand new set of markers in that one and playing around with them and learning how to use them. I think that was my third drawing I did with those. And I actually had my supervisor at work choose the name for the drawing, which was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's love. It has, for those of you who can't see it, it's a small boy, again, in diapers. He's got a kind of a plaid type shirt on, and it looks like he's standing on either carpeting or,
yes,
and it's very detailed, like a shag carpet. And then he's got little toys like a wooden train and a wooden airplane, and behind him is a wall with clouds, and he's happy, but this, like you said, you're portraying that life goes so many different ways in this. And do people reach out to you for these designs?
I have had a couple of people reach out to me for designs. One was actually not more of the style I usually do. It was actually very outside my limits, and it was a pretty menacing looking dragon, which was really fun to do.
I have that one. Are you going to be with me in the second half? Because I can show that one. We got a couple minutes, but if you want to come back in the second half, which we'll have about a 5-minute break, we can show some more of your pieces.
Definitely.
Okay.
But I definitely have a few people that have reached out to me, and I haven't pursued it as much with people, but I'm hoping to do that in the future for sure.
Right, because you've been dealing with all the aspects of this disease and then other things that medically have gone on, and it's a struggle. So as an artist, that's reflecting here in your work, and you do other work as well. I mean, this is your heartbeat and your focus, and yet we're going to share in the second half some other pieces that Brittany does that are lovely. And, you're really capable of doing whatever you want with art.
Yes.
So maybe we'll talk a little bit about how it went as a child, in the second half, because I still have I might have given you your portfolio, but, we can talk a little bit about how it goes being raised, homeschooled, and how important that part of our lives were, because I really support that art helps the mind develop. Without it, we're missing a big part of our lives. Like, if you didn't have this, how would you communicate what you're communicating?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a humongous part of my life, and it has definitely influenced, almost my whole being in a way.
Right, because you're an artist. It just flows out of you. So, well, we're going to take a break in a minute, and if you'll call back in the second half, we're going to continue this discussion and go into a little bit more about how this whole thing works together, and, more about what you do, things like that. Anything you want to share with FAP or people who may be dealing with incontinence, that's fine too, because it's not only about our art is life. Life is our art reflects life and society. And this is a part of society that no one wants to talk about. What? You're incontinent? Can't you control that? No, that's why it's called incontinent. It's not a choice. So, I just think it's amazing. And this is my daughter, Brittany Hemphill, that I'm speaking with. She's an artist living in Kansas. And I'm her mom. I've been teaching her art when she was a child, and just watched you blossom, Brittany. And we'll talk some more in a few minutes about this. So join us back in a few minutes on the Art Beat of Chattanooga on Chattanooga Radio, 92.7 FM, AM 1240, Facebook and YouTube. See you in a minute.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
We've got a table here at Delia's, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia spreads a rich selection. Loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, near the Thrasher Light. Quesadillas, smell them coming. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos made fresh every morning. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch or dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. Mention Sean Hannity and save a dime on every dollar of your tab. Yep, 10% for the Nooga Radio listener.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis, you know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling, Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Come see the fastest dirt late model drivers in the South compete for a purse every Saturday night. Pit gates open at 3, grandstand opens at 5. Racing starts at 7. Bring the whole family for a night of fun as they tear it up on the dirt track. Go to BoydSpeedway.net and check out the Dirt Simulator. BoydSpeedway.dirtsimulator.com. Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Fun-filled, outrageous racing. We'll see you Saturday night.
The racetrack roars to life every Saturday night. Catch the explosive action only at Boyd Speedway.
Boyd Speedway.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Police are investigating Youngstown Road after a 20-year-old shooting victim showed up at the hospital, and they believe he was pierced by hot lead somewhere on the 3800 block of Youngstown Road at 10 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday. Chattanooga cops say the victim drove himself to the hospital. He's not severely injured. A new development in the case of a gang member who was found shot to death lying in his own pool of blood in the Hamilton Inn on Rossville Boulevard. A suspect has been arrested, Malik Phillips, who's 20 years old, charged with criminal homicide and possession of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony. The CPD called in the Marshals Service to help find him. They tracked him down to Walker County. He's going to be extradited. Hamilton County Sheriff's Office is trying to track down a serial windshield smasher after multiple victims have come forward saying something was thrown from a vehicle in the opposing lane that smashed their windshield, and it's happened multiple times on Wednesday on Graysville Road and Udawal-Ringgold Road. Sheriff's Office investigating. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect hot and humid weather out there for your afternoon. Highs 90 to 92, but one of these scattered showers and storms will pop up during the heating of the day. Tonight, any showers will diminish. Muggy overnight, lows lower 70s. More of the same for Friday, 90 to 92, with scattered showers and storms more likely Saturday. McBriar Realty is now Real Living Southern Realty, serving the entire tri-state area. Find your dream home now with Real Living Southern Realty. For their complete listings and more, rlsouthernrealty.com. And I'm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Welcome back to the Art Beat of Chattanooga, where art lives on Chattanooga Radio, 92.7 FM, AM 1240. Coming to you live today on Facebook and YouTube as well. Just talking about art, of course. We cover all art here, anything from musicians, theater, visual arts, any form of art. I'm willing to talk with you and love to share what you have going on here in Chattanooga and beyond, art and society. Very excited today because my guest is my daughter, Brittany Hemphill, and we're talking by phone today because Brittany lives in Kansas. Brittany has familial adenomatous polyposis, FAP, and it's a genetic disease. It's something that requires surgical removal of the colon, or you will die of cancer. There's no cure known. It's a mutant gene, so it's not something that herbal medicine or pharmaceutical medicine can help, really. It's simply, you've got to remove the colon. So we're going to talk some more with Brittany. And hi, Britt.
Hi.
Hi, welcome back. It's kind of an exciting day for us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a little static on there. So can you hold your phone real still for me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we're excited because Brittany and I have been discussing this, sharing about this struggle that you have and others have about this disease, and especially about the effects the disease have had on your life and how that has created your talent and your art to move in a direction to speak about this to society and others. So I'm very excited about that. And kind of, can you give everybody, say hello, give kind of an overview, because we're in the second half of the show here. Just kind of introduce yourself and give us a general overview of what you do.
Hi, everyone. I am Brittany Hemphill. I'm Jill's daughter. And I am just an artist that's kind of pursuing a passion with bringing awareness to different health conditions that I have and that I share with other people. And that drives the passion of my art. I also do a YouTube channel, which is Back in Diapers. And I also have a Facebook page for my art, which is Binky Girl Art. And I just want to share with everyone, you know, my journey that I've had with all these different health issues and kind of how I cope and handle different situations that come up.
Right, which it would take us a year to go through. when you're talking about coping and handling situations, people who haven't been through this disease where all of the worst case scenarios happen, basically, really it's been quite nightmarish at times. And I have to say, you're a trooper, and I've seen you arise and overcome so many things and then turn your experiences into this beautiful, positive artwork. So we're sharing about, you know, FAP, we're sharing about incontinence in adults, especially because this can create that. These incontinence comes for many reasons, but I'm really, you know, for you, Brittany, to speak up and say, hey, I'm incontinent, and to go on the air and go on YouTube, that is amazing, because it's hard to say I'm incontinent, let alone say it. Being it is a whole nother world, as I know, because I've been with you through this. So I want to go back to the dragon a minute and share a little bit about your work. And then I think it'd be really fun to talk about some of the times how we went on our journey as artists, mother and daughter, and, you know, that sort of thing. I do have other daughters who are also very talented artists. All of them could be artists, and some of them choose to be artists. So, you know, I have a talented girls. And but I mentioned this dragon that you did, and this was a commission. So this dragon is beautiful. If you're listening, it's a black dragon with its wings kind of extended up, but not flowing like in a flying position, but with a red pattern on the wings. And it's just a lovely dragon. What's the title of this one?
It doesn't actually have a title because it was a commission. I didn't really name it.
You're as bad as me. People are like, what's the title? I don't know. I only have 500 pieces.
Coming up with titles.
Right. I understand, but
yeah, but the person who commissioned this art, or this piece of art, wanted kind of a menacing looking dragon. You know, he wanted the black and the red. And one of the coolest features I love about him is his tail. And it was actually requested that his tail goes down into a knife or dagger of some sort. And seriously, I had never drawn a dragon in my life. I've never drawn a piece like this in my life. And I looked through some references and drew up a couple of sketches for him, and he chose what he wanted. And that one was one of the most intricate pieces I've done, because I actually drew every single scale on this dragon. And it didn't take that long, probably about 10 hours total. But it's definitely one of my proudest pieces, because I love the personality that this dragon shows, and I love the color scheme as well.
It's a beautiful piece, and it's, as I'm looking at it here, I feel the weight of that tail. Like, it feels like you can just feel the weight on this tail, that, the depth of this dragon, his presence is very well done here. Beautiful piece, Brittany. So along with doing the work that represents your struggles and other people's struggles with incontinence, Brittany is also quite capable of doing some beautiful pieces of any kind. And she also takes commissions. So do I, for that matter. And I think it's really wonderful, because our journey with art began the minute you could hold a pencil, basically. So I'm curious about, what point do you remember art being something you were really aware of?
Oh my God, it's at a very young age, honestly. It's like, I've seriously, like, going through all of the art classes with you as a child, one of the moments that speaks out to me the most when I discovered I really, truly loved art was probably when I was drawing a piece that at least I remember very vividly, and it actually is kind of a piece that our whole family knows, and that's the little sea turtle hatching out of the egg on the beach. And that was kind of one of the moments that just signified that I absolutely love art.
Is that the painting that your uncle has?
That's the painting that Uncle Jamie has.
The turtle one? Yeah, we actually reproduced that one because it was so lovely. So how old were you when you painted that? Do you remember?
Oh, goodness. I might have been in like second grade or so, honestly.
Really?
I was really young. It was the first time I took one of your art classes. So I was really young.
Yeah, because Brittany, you've been homeschooled your entire life, and believe it or not, she survived my homeschooling. Brittany, you were an amazing student. I mean, when I saw the things you were doing in history and your timelines and everything, I had 5 kids, so some of my girls were very self-motivated. And when I look back at what you did in high school, I'm like, what? You were a very motivated girl and very intelligent. So, yeah, we had art classes, not just in our own homeschool, but I also taught with TeenWorks in Michigan, and I taught classes right from my home, where we had sometimes up to 10 people, kids, all around the tables doing their artwork. And that was a lot of fun. So, you remember being about second grade producing something. And it's interesting because my first memory of loving art, I was in first grade. And I made a clay nest and a bird and little eggs and painted them. And they won some prize in the little first grade art fair. And from then on, I loved art. Not that I'm a sculptor, I'm a painter. But it's funny how, young a child can attach to that.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, seriously something that I have kind of felt and have been attached to most of my life from a very young age, and definitely has shaped a lot of who I am today.
Right. And also you're very, the art of sewing. You're extremely talented at sewing as well. But really your visual art has become truly amazing. And I'd like to share this piece. And during surgeries of this type, people can end up needing total parental nutrition, which is through a port, a PICC line, or feeding from a tube because they can't eat. All kinds of things happen. And this piece of this girl who's apparently, I'm guessing, around age 11 or 12, has an NG tube. Is that, or is it a feeding tube?
It's a feeding tube.
So she's got a feeding tube, and this girl is a young girl, and Brittany's created this feeding tube that goes up through her nostril, and it's taped to her face. And as I looked at this, Brittany, I was amazed about how the connections are drawn there. And I had to wonder, did you look that up, or is that just seared into your mind?
It's pretty much seared into my mind at this point. This piece is actually interesting because it came about for a couple of different things, because it looks a lot like the NG tubes that I have personally had in the past, but it's meant to be a feeding tube. And it kind of came about with, after watching another person's vlog on YouTube. This girl has cystic fibrosis, and due to the effects of that, she's had to have a feeding tube. And that actually kind of spurred on this particular drawing, as well as the fact that, you know, I've had to have, you know, total parental nutrition at times. And I kind of wanted to just portray that there are different ways that you can get that nutrition. And this drawing just came about, and it was like, you know, and it was fun to draw, that's for sure.
I love it, yeah. You know, and I love it. It's wonderful. And I suppose I have emotional connections beyond maybe what others would, but people go through all manner of medical things that they need this sort of support and care, and other types. And, you know, how I always talk about art and society and art. As an artist, you've chosen to reflect your life and then reach out to society using your art and creativity and your journey to help and support others. So that's what I find amazing. And I know you'll always continue with your work. I know that's a part of you, like myself. I can't stop.
No, you know. it just pours out of you most of the time.
Yeah. So as you were being raised with an artist mom, do you feel like there's something I really missed teaching you? Or I covered a lot. I wrote curriculums. I covered a lot, but I'm wondering, like, if I don't think we did much with clay and things like that. So
we did a little bit with clay. I think in the first art class I was in, we did a session with clay, and I think our assignment was create an animal out of clay and then have a baby along with it. And I think I created a hippo at the time. I'm not sure. But I do remember a couple of times that we worked with clay, not a ton, but I mean, that knowledge has even helped me to this day. I work with polymer clay sometimes, and the knowledge that I gained back then has helped with that. And I still love working with clay as well. It's just, but yeah, pretty much with our art classes, you did a lot of teaching us to look and draw, you know, look at what we saw in nature and, you know, in our lives, and, you know, paint and draw from that. I guess the thing that we didn't do a ton of was things like cartoons and stuff. Like, that's something I've learned within the last year even, is taking up how to draw, you know, a little more cartoon looking pieces, as you can see from a lot of my artwork. But I will say that there's still definitely a very, very strong connection to drawing nature. I have a few pieces that I've done that I don't do many of them because I wait till something truly speaks to me to do those.
Yeah.
You know, but
the part about look and draw,
that's always in the back of my mind, is, you know, looking at what I'm drawing. So that's been an interesting transition with cartoons, because a lot of it isn't looking at what you draw necessarily. You kind of have a reference picture, but you're completely making it something that looks totally different.
Yes, and yet the aspects of the face that you've drawn, even though the eyes are exaggerated like a Muppet or anime type eyes, the part about look and draw that almost anyone can teach their children to get them started, to keep them drawing past about the age of 10, where children begin to question their own work and to not see it as valid because their worldview is broadening, but they don't necessarily have the technical skills to express it through art. They've been drawing their whole lives, put this on the fridge, look at what I drew. All of a sudden, they kind of start, oh, this is no good. Look and draw is something I termed myself with a curriculum I developed to assist kids to get past that point, to learn the technical aspects, because the creative part's going to keep coming. So even today, Brittany, I don't do nature almost at all. I'm painting like nebulas and non-objective work at this point for the most part. But I think it's a very good tool if you're wanting to encourage your children in art. Look and draw, because children want to produce something they can understand. as we mature, and now that you've matured into your own work, we take our technical skills and we utilize them. But anytime you're teaching a child, it's very effective to go there. And I know I made you guys do like shading charts from darkest to light. You had to do a charts with all the different, cross hatching and gesture drawing and all these different types of line work, pointillism.
I remember all of that very well.
I still have all those things in my files, and I still have a lot. We made portfolios. Okay. So if your child is drawing a lot, all you have to do is get some poster board, cut it in half, get a hole punch some holes in the bottom of each one, and then run some yarn through there, punch a couple holes on the top, make a handle, and then you put some yarn on the sides to tie it to keep everything in there. And those things have lasted. I still have some of them of you girls and then they put like collages or artwork on the cover of it. And did I give you yours?
I think a lot of what you had was at the end was kind of combined between all of us. I'm not sure if it's mine that you have or not.
Okay. I'm going to check it out but those are fun things that you can do to encourage your child to create a portfolio. I think that was important for you girls. You would go get them and you put your artwork in there. It was safe. To this day, I still have many of your pieces that you girls did. So that's one way to reach your children and keep encouraging them as well. So
yeah, and I remember we put like a lot of our favorite things on there, collages of our favorite things and different things that inspired us and words and things like that.
Right.
And I'm actually probably going to do that again before too long, because I had a little notebook portfolio type thing that I've completely filled up, and I need something bigger to hold on my artwork. And I'm like, I should make a portfolio like I made back when I was a kid.
It is that simple, really, and you can make a larger one to keep larger pieces.
Yes.
Yeah, storing artwork over the years turns into, I have a lot of artwork and a lot of sketches. And even though I sell artwork, we're always making more and more. So storage is an important thing too.
Yep.
I want to touch on the fact that you've done a lot of writing, a lot of poetry. In your earlier life, I know you wrote quite a bit of poetry. Is that still a creative part of you? Or have you turned it more into the drawing?
A lot of it, I did write for a little while, and every now and then I'll just pop on the computer and write something, or pull out a notebook and write something. I usually end up losing it, unfortunately, because I don't necessarily put it in a specific notebook. But it definitely has gone more toward the drawing, because that's just more my passion. Actually, my boyfriend is the writer and I'm the drawer. I swear we should write a book together.
Absolutely. You should do it. And I have a book that I illustrated, Poems from a Secret Garden, which I happen to have along for once. And I illustrated this, and my friend wrote the poems over about 15-year period. And it's a fun book. You can get it on Amazon, Poems from a Secret Garden by Fred Ballou, and illustrated by myself, Jillian Collins. So you can do it, Brittany. Anyone can do this. So just some hard work and corroboration. And you can self-publish on Amazon. So it's pretty fun.
Definitely.
So, well, is there something you'd like to share in support of your followers who are probably going to be seeing this? And is there a part of your heart you want to kind of impart to them about this?
Yeah, it's something I kind of want to say is a lot of people don't realize how many of us are dealing with either FAP or incontinence or something kind of like that. And it's been such a huge part of my life, finding these people and sharing this with them and encouraging each other, supporting each other through it. I have told my YouTube followers that I will be doing this and gave them all the links. So if they're listening in or watching in, you guys, I love you, and you are what keeps me going. The fact that I wanted to do this just so that maybe I could touch one person's life and help them through their journey and support them. And, it's gone so much further than I ever expected it would. And that is honestly where my heart is and what I want to do with it. All I just want to do is be able to help bring a smile to someone's face and help them, just cope, even just for one day, have a better day than the one before. And just to show them that it's not taboo to have these issues, and that it's, you know, we need to educate the world, specifically on incontinence. Like, no one understands it. No one wants to talk about it. Yet there's something like 44,000 or million or 4,400,000 people in the U.S. alone that are adults over the age of 18 that deal with incontinence. And no one likes to talk about it, but we need that support. We need to talk about it with each other. And that was the reason that I started, you know, pursuing YouTube and all that, just so that I could open that bridge and share my story with people so that they know they're not alone.
And it's brave, you know, it's brave. It's like you said, it's kind of seen as taboo, and people kind of think, well, seriously, you can probably control that. No, actually, you can't. I've been through the medical tests with you, Brittany, and I know for sure that, you know, this is a medical condition, and the difficulties of it are well known to myself as well because of being your mom. But I'm proud of you, and I love you, and I love your work. And I'm really proud to share the art world and the desire to support others with you. And I hope that people will take this show and listen and think about it. You may be an employer and you may not know your person working for you might be incontinent and they might need to go to the restroom, and they have to. So there has to be some understanding in society about the struggles that go along with this, you know.
And there's not a lot of understanding when it comes to employers either. You know, there's so many rules and regulations that I've dealt with personally in my job that it was like, you know, well, I have to do this. I don't have a choice.
Right.
You know,
right.
And they just don't understand it. You know, they just look at my numbers. Hey, you're not on the clock at this point. Why aren't you on the clock? And it's like, things, you know, happen. And, you know, for employers definitely need to be more supportive of the medical issues that do go on with your employees.
Right. So you can see Brittany's YouTube channel at, tell them again, we only have a few minutes.
It is Back in Diapers is my YouTube channel, and Binky Girl Art is my Facebook page where I post all my artwork. And if you go to YouTube, you can also find my different social medias as well. But yes.
So if you are a person or you have family members or friends dealing with incontinence as an adult, this is a great place to go for support and understanding. Also tips on how to manage your life and manage the situation, because it takes a lot of management. It's expensive. So Brittany, thank you so much. I am so happy that you could be my guest today. I wish we were here in person and I could hug you. But it's so great to have you here and share about the wonderful artwork you're doing. So please support adult incontinence and support Brittany on her YouTube channel and support others. Thank you so much for joining me on the Art Beat of Chattanooga. I'm your host, Jillian Collins, and I'll be back next week to share more artwork with you about Chattanooga. Thanks so much. Bye, Britt.
Always look on the bright side of life.